Relatively simple man, right? I dropped out of university. I don't have a degree. I wouldn't consider myself the smartest person in the world, but have been investing for 6 years now, and I've seen some pretty good success as a result of doing so. I've also, as a result of this job that I now have, come across some incredibly smart people, some incredibly capable people, much more both of those things than I am, who have probably not done as well as I have. Here are the 5 key takeaways that I've taken from my conversations with them, from the things that I've learned, from the things that I've seen. It might surprise you. Number 1 comes directly from the intro. Thinking being smart equals being good with money. Now, the reality is, with investing, there is an inverse correlation between the amount of work, how smart you are, you put in, and the returns that you get. It is completely counterintuitive and is one of the only areas in the world where the less you do, the better you'll probably do. The best investors in the world are typically dead. Now, what do I exactly mean by this? Well, here's an example. Okay, so look at this chart here. This shows that over the course of the last 5 years, active fund managers have underperformed the market 86% of the time. These are the absolute pros. So an active fund is one where you have a bunch of very capable, very smart, very rich fund managers running around picking and buying stocks that they want in that fund that they think are going to outperform the S&P 500, bringing them in, getting rid of certain ones, and charging you a fortune for the likes of doing so. These funds can end up being pretty extortionate and having a massive impact on your potential returns when you want to come to retire. So 86% of these funds, this analysis shows, have underperformed the S&P 500 over the course of the last 5 years. So if you'd chosen one of these, you'd be paying more for worse returns. Now, it is still important to notice that there were 13% of them that did outperform the S&P 500, but trying to pick what is almost 1 in 10. How are you going to find the active fund manager that is going to outperform the market? It's not quite picking a needle in the haystack, but it is gambling as far as I'm concerned, because you're trying to find one that really does beat what you can achieve just by buying VUSA through trading 212. A lot of very smart people and very wealthy people as well don't manage their finances as well. You see a lot of people earning over £100,000 per year, and they're not investing anything. They're living paycheck to paycheck because of the lifestyle inflation, because of the fact that every time they've got a pay increase, a bonus, they've just spent a lot of it. Now, it is important to spend some of your money. None of us want to die, be the richest guy in the graveyard. But at the end of the day, if you want a financially free future, you have to put some of that money to work for you. Equally, there'll be people on the UK national average, £37,000, that are well ahead of some of these rich people. Number 2 links perfectly to number 1. And I don't know how many times I have to say it, but I'm going to continue to say it. Trying to time the market is the quickest way to underperform said market. Research done by Dalbar assessed market returns over a 20-year period, and it showed that over that 20-year period, the market returned 9.8%. However, the average investor that tried to time it actually returned 5.4%. That is a 4% difference, right? That is hundreds of thousands of pounds over the course of an investing life. As we saw in point 1, the very, very best stock pickers often will underperform the market 9-1 almost, and those that try and time it will significantly underperform the market almost by 50%. Again, it comes down to people thinking that they're smarter than they are, and they may be smart, and they probably are smart, and they're incredibly smart in their specific discipline and niche, but that set themselves up to fail. Their confirmation bias tells them, I can beat the market, I'm better than this, I know what I need to do in order to beat it, but at the end of the day, they don't. Number 3 is ignoring simplicity. The simpler you do it, the better you'll probably do. So this is around building a portfolio that's got all sorts of different types of assets within it. Now, it is important to be diversified, and some people will disagree with this. It's important to potentially have precious metals in there, property perhaps, bonds, a certain amount of cash, a certain amount of equities, but we're getting into the territory of overcomplicating it. My view, and it is a higher risk view, is that I'm pretty much 100% into equities. That means into well-diversified global funds, S&P 500s. That's where the majority of my cash is. Now, I do get caught up. I like to pick the odd stock, and I have been lucky with it. It represents less than 10% of my portfolio, and I have had some luck with them, and that has meant that over the course of the last few years, that has actually increased my returns versus if I'd invested into those funds. But I do understand that doing that comes with risk, and potentially, and I do believe this, in the long run, right? I'm talking 20, 30 years. I will be much better off just sticking to those funds. When we have times of rallying markets like we have done for the last 2 years, don't forget 2023 wasn't that long ago. The market dropped by 20% in that time period. And I promise you, during that time period, every single stock picker on social media disappeared, right? And uncertainty will come again. Right, there will be at some point in the near future where we see a 20-odd% decline in the market over the course of a year. And once again, the new raft of stock pickers will disappear. I genuinely believe that the best returns are had by low-cost, diversified, global funds. And because that always has and always will be my statement, I'm not going to disappear. I'll be here in the tough times. I'll be here in the good times. We'll go through it together. Number 4, comparing progress instead of defining success. So a lot of smart people will be looking left and right, keeping up with the Joneses, etc. And they'll be looking at their portfolio and thinking, well, it's not as big as his. It's not as big as hers. What do I need to do to try and outperform them, get better returns, build it up to be bigger? Now that's a disaster waiting to happen in its own right. You should not, and it is human nature. I do it myself. But we, as a reminder, we need to not compare ourselves to other people. Let's compare ourselves to our previous past. So personally, 20 years ago, I was almost homeless. I was living on my sister's floor. I didn't have enough money to barely eat. I used to treat myself for lunch the odd time to a Greggs sausage roll, which was about 70 odd p then. Now, when I compare that to now, and I live in a decent sized house, I've got an over 6-figure portfolio, I've got a plan to be able to retire in the next 8 years. I wouldn't have believed that for a second at 21 years old. I would not have believed that that was possible. So let's keep it in perspective. Look at our past selves. Let's not look at the people we work with. It is important, of course, to keep your circle as successful people, right? Because it helps to drive you. You are a percent of your entire friend group. We've heard that before, and it's important to potentially get rid of those that are going to drag you down rather than prop you up. But compare yourself to your previous person, not to those around you. Number 5, some of the smartest people in the world with investing haven't dealt with the psychological side of it yet, right? They potentially haven't had a drop significant enough that is going to test that. Thinking that discipline alone is enough will not get you through. You need to understand that your brain is your worst enemy when it comes to investing. You will overanalyze everything. When we see declines in the market, you will see people selling out. You will see that it'll be on the front page of every newspaper going. I haven't seen a single article this year saying that the market's up by 17%. Isn't that fantastic? No, but when it drops by 2%, you'll see it everywhere. Prepare yourself that that's coming, right? Know that you are going to have to deal with that. Know that you need to stick to your guns, to your original plan of what you were doing. Depositing on a monthly basis, doing it if it goes up, down, sideways, whatever it's doing. Ignore the news, ignore the noise. It is much more about mindset than it is about willpower. If you rely on willpower alone, you potentially could break. So how do you get yourself into a position to be able to deal with it? Well, you read, you learn, you understand that the plan that you've got is the right one. Every reputable creator, every reputable book that you've ever read has said what I've just said. Now, I've learned a lot from that. I've learned an incredible amount from going on that journey, from reading everything I can get my hands on, and I know that's the right approach. I've been through some crashes. I've been through COVID. I've been through 2023. I've been through Trump doing his things in April. The more of them you go through, the better you get at it. But when it comes to those times, don't think that you're smarter than the market. You may very well be smart in the things that you do. You could be the best lawyer in the UK. I don't care what it is. You could be doing anything, but it is during those times that you will really get a test. And if you have any interest on seeing how this approach has impacted my portfolio, you can have a look through it right here.